Right after getting confirmed for September, Canelo versus Terence Crawford is the fight that ignites debates. From elite fighters to top trainers, here's what the pros predict and who they think walks away with the win. Rolly Romero just came after Ryan's win, gaining a lot of praise and respect. Romero was asked about this upcoming matchup, and he didn't hold back. While many see Crawford's skill and momentum as enough to challenge the Mexican star, Romero made it clear he sees no path to victory for Bud, mainly because of one major factor: weight.
Anyone that thinks Crawford has a chance is a complete idiot. They have weight classes for a reason.
Too big? Too skilled?
Way too big, way too skilled. And this isn't a skill matchup. It has nothing to do with skill. It has to do with weight.
Crawford dominated at welterweight and looked strong at 147, but stepping up to fight a natural super middleweight like Canelo is a leap across multiple weight classes. While Crawford is arguably more technical and defensively sharper, Canelo's physical strength, chin, and experience at 168 plus pounds pose real problems. Romero's comment reflects the belief that at some point, size does outweigh skill, especially when both fighters are elite in their own right. While former MLB star Adam Jones is fully backing Terence Crawford to get the job done against Canelo, brushing off the size difference and praising Crawford's discipline and focus outside the ring.
T. Crawford.
T. Crawford?
Fucking monster, bro.
By finish, or does it go the distance?
I done tried to buy T. Crawford like 20 drinks. Like, took him to the strip club, took him to the regular club, won't drink nothing, and won't spend nothing. Do you hear what I said?
He doesn't spin?
Don't spin.
Doesn't drink?
Don't drink.
Well, that's how you know he's on the straight and narrow path.
Oh, what you said. What you said. What you said.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what it's all about. So we got him. No size difference. Nothing, doesn't matter. He's going to go up there. He's going to take care of business.
Yeah. I think T. Crawford going to take care of business. I like that fight. He ain't got to lose much weight.
Jones believes Crawford's mindset and professionalism give him the edge, regardless of weight. While many cite size as a factor, Jones sees discipline and mentality as the real difference makers. Teofimo Lopez recognizes the magnitude of a potential Crawford versus Canelo fight, but despite respecting Crawford's daring move, he's firmly siding with his training stablemate.
Best fight the best, even if the Crawford got to go up 3 weight classes to face the best and the king in the face of boxing of Canelo Alvarez, but I'm still going to go with my stablemate, Canelo Alvarez, with the win. Now, what decision? I think it's a late knockout. If not, it might end in 6.
Lopez credits Crawford's courage, but believes the jump in weight and Canelo's power would be too much. While he respects Crawford's skill, his prediction echoes many's concerns. Can skill alone survive against a heavy-handed champion at 168? We'll see on September 12th. Kermel Moton, one of boxing's rising prospects and a student of the game, gave a well-balanced and thoughtful take on the potential clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Unlike others who lean heavily toward one side, Moton weighed the pros and cons for both fighters, acknowledging the huge jump in weight Crawford would have to make, while also pointing out specific technical factors that could shape the outcome.
68, that's a big jump for Crawford, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like it could go similar to the fight how it just went with Skull, but with Crawford throwing a little bit more punches and then, you know, getting on his toes, boxing, and then he letting his hands go more. So he might be able to edge a decision out against Canelo, outbox him. So I feel like Canelo struggle with fighters that are good on their feet. And or there's a possibility that Canelo, you know, walks him down and Crawford doesn't really adapt to the weight and the power up at 68. So I guess we'll just see how it goes. But I know both of them are real great fighters, and I'm just excited to watch it.
Here, Moton outlines both possible outcomes. Either Crawford outboxes Canelo by staying mobile and active, or Canelo's size and strength wear Crawford down. Unlike more one-sided takes, Moton sees both paths as realistic, depending on how each fighter approaches the bout. He then expands his point by focusing on one of Canelo's long criticized weaknesses, his footwork.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like Canelo's feet were ever, you know, super fast. You know, that was never his thing. You know, he has great waist movement, you know, great steady pressure, but I never really feel like he had the best footwork. But I feel like definitely it's slowed even more with him going up in weight. He's kind of just, you know, waiting, sitting down on his punches, waiting for big counters. But it just depends, you know, if he's able to cut off the ring. And if Crawford even uses that game plan, maybe he stays in the pocket with Canelo. We'll see.
Former super middleweight champion Caleb Plant, who's shared the ring with Canelo Alvarez, offered a measured but revealing take on both Canelo's recent form and his upcoming clash with Terence Crawford. Plant didn't just reflect on past fights, he subtly warned that the current version of Canelo might be more vulnerable than people think, especially against a fighter like Crawford.
No, I don't think it's the same Canelo. Not quite, but also I kind of figured it was going to be like that, honestly. You know, I heard Canelo say in the interview, like, I don't really like fighting guys who move around that much like that, and William Skull being a Cuban fighter, like, I knew he was going to do that. And so was curious to see, you know, how Canelo would handle that. And, you know, he kept the ring off well, but that guy just, I felt like he didn't really want no part. And it makes for not as appetizing fight, but still got that fight in September with him and Crawford, so we'll see.
Here, Plant implies Canelo may be slipping physically, or at least no longer as dominant against certain styles. He points to Canelo's difficulty against movers, a known issue that someone like Crawford with elite footwork and timing could exploit. But Plant doesn't write Canelo off. Instead, he shifts tone slightly, highlighting the uniqueness of Crawford as a threat.
You know, you may think about it for a second and say, oh, well, there's weight classes for a reason, right? But Crawford's a special guy, you know what I'm saying? And so I think it's going to be a great fight, and I'm just a fan on that one. You know, just want to see a good fight, and I think it will be.
Terence Crawford's longtime team member and vocal supporter, Bernie Thaw Boxer, didn't hold back when talking about Canelo Alvarez. With Crawford possibly set to face the Mexican superstar in September, Bernie laid out exactly why he believes Canelo is made to order for Bud.
Well, a lot of people are saying about Crawford's age, but, you know, no boxing, no life, as Canelo would say. And Crawford still, you know, in age, but he ain't took no punishment. He's cautious, you know, he works hard throughout these years, so, you know, of course you're gonna, you know, you gotta count that in the factor, but in his heart and his mind and his spirit, he's still youthful about boxing. He loves boxing, and this is one way to get him up. You know, he's a challenge guy. He loves a challenge, and Canelo is the biggest challenge you can get. You know, we got to go up 2 weight classes, really 3 weight cclasses to get a guy like that. Hardest puncher, great counter puncher, tons of experience, undisputed champion, unified champion, a couple of divisions champion, and so we didn't get the Pacquiao or the Mayweather, but we getting Canelo, and nothing comes easy to Team Crawford, and expect us to look good on the 12th. Expect us to come out victorious September 12th.
Bernie didn't just talk about motivation. He made it clear that what sets Crawford apart is grit. While others fold, he believes Crawford thrives in adversity, and that toughness is what will decide this fight.
The one thing about Crawford is he got guts. Them bums ain't have no guts. Them bums didn't want to win. Crawford want to win. That's it. It ain't about no belt. It ain't about nothing. You didn't sign the contract. We want to win, and he want to be the best, and he is the best. So that's what's going to be the difference. You know, Crawford got guts. He got a fighting spirit. So when you see Crawford, he going to go in there and get busy with Canelo. Don't you even doubt that. You understand? You ain't never seen Crawford stay on the back foot in no fight in his life. You understand? He the type of guy to go get you. So expect him to go get him. We going to do everything we can to him. We going to do whatever we got to do, but one thing you can expect is Crawford is going to step to him, because you can't beat Canelo going on the back foot forever. You got to go get him. You got to do something, and he better know Crawford is coming.
According to Bernie, Crawford won't be relying on just movement. He's bringing heat straight to Canelo, and stylistically, Bernie believes that the mix of pressure, speed, and reflexes will overwhelm Alvarez.
Definitely got the power, and he got the speed to counter punch, to his defense, to catch punches, to counter punches, and to let his hands go. Crawford got the speed and to tighten up and get out of there. Man, Crawford gonna beat the daylights. Man, Crawford gonna beat him, man. I'm telling you, Crawford gonna beat him. And Canelo ain't no slouch. I'm just saying. But when you get Crawford in there, he just gonna go up another notch. You know, the last guy we fought didn't want to fight. Canelo gonna bring the fight. He gonna do something. And every mistake he make, we gonna capitalize on it.
While many fighters are picking Terence Crawford to shock the world against Canelo Alvarez, former unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez isn't one of them. Lopez acknowledged Crawford's skill, but believes the size gap is too big to ignore.
Crawford, Canelo, who you got?
Crawford, Canelo? I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yep.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, They say he's a dog. He's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe that's just his mentality.
Hey, let's see. Only one way to find out until that day comes.
It's the only way, but I definitely think that it's a great fight overall. You know, black and brown is how you get down.
Renowned trainer Robert Garcia, who has worked with some of boxing's elite talents, originally leaned toward Canelo Alvarez in a potential super fight against Terence Crawford. But as momentum builds for Crawford, and after witnessing the discipline, mindset, and skill Crawford brings to the table, Garcia has changed his tune. Speaking candidly in a recent interview, Garcia explained what swayed his prediction in Crawford's favor.
You know, I love Crawford. He knows that. I've seen him. I've talked to him many times, and I wish him the best. I'm actually very happy for him and Bomac for everything they've done and the big fight that they're getting. You know, in this sport, making it to those fights and making it to those paydays, you got to be happy for anybody that makes it there. So Bomac knows, Crawford knows. Now I'm actually, after Canelo's performance, I'm actually leaning towards Crawford to win this fight.
Why is that? What changed?
Because I know Crawford's, he's got the heart, he's got the speed, the skills, and he's gonna go out there. I was thinking he put up a good first 6 rounds, but then Canelo will start picking it up. But now I think Crawford will go for Crawford will get, I'm picking Crawford to win now.
Oscar De La Hoya, the Hall of Fame fighter and former promoter of Canelo Alvarez, didn't hold back while critiquing Canelo's last performance, widely viewed as a dull and overly cautious fight. Speaking with visible frustration, De La Hoya blasted Canelo not just for the style of the bout, but for the opponent selection, blaming him for choosing a fighter he knew would run rather than fight.
Canelo, Jesus Lord, come on. You're getting paid all this money to fight against a runner who we all knew was gonna run, a Cuban style. You chose him, and now you say you hate fighting runners? Well then, don't fight runners. We all know who we want to see you win against. That's Benavidez. Go up against Benavidez. But it's sad. It really is. You know, it starts from the top too. I mean, when you're fighting for the money and not legacy, every young fighter just follows that pattern. And it's not fair. It's not fair to the organizers, the people putting up the money, the promoters, you know, the fans especially. The fans want to see good fights. Let's go. It's the fighter's job to give the fight fans good fights. It's teed up for everybody.
De La Hoya's disappointment goes beyond just a slow fight. It's about what he sees as a shift in boxing culture. He suggests that Canelo's choices reflect a pattern where legacy is taking a back seat to business, and younger fighters are simply copying the formula. But despite the criticism, De La Hoya did express cautious optimism about one fight that could flip the narrative.
You want to call it? I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated. But hey, we got Crawford, Canelo. I'm looking forward to it. Even though they're both almost 40, I'm looking forward to it because it's a good matchup. But just show up and fight. Please, show up and fight.
Though De La Hoya remains skeptical about modern matchmaking, he views the Crawford versus Canelo fight as a shot at redemption for both fighters and the sport itself. But he issues a clear warning: fans are tired of overhyped chess matches. This time he wants action, not excuses. After Canelo Alvarez's underwhelming performance against William Skull, where many felt he lacked urgency and failed to entertain, the criticism has been piling up, and it's starting to shift the narrative around his upcoming super fight with Terence Crawford. Fans and experts who once saw Canelo as the immovable force are now revisiting his old flaws, his struggles with slick boxers, his rigid style, and questionable matchmaking. As a result, confidence in Canelo's ability to handle a skilled, fluid, and intelligent fighter like Crawford is taking a hit, and among those leading this reassessment is respected boxing analyst Rob Acosta, who didn't hold back in breaking down the truth behind Canelo's carefully constructed career, and what that means for the Crawford fight. In a brutally honest assessment, Rob Acosta called out what he sees as a long-standing myth in boxing, that Canelo Alvarez can handle elite movers. Referencing both current and past performances, Acosta argued that Canelo's inability to cut off the ring has always been a weakness, not a one-off issue, and it's something Crawford will likely exploit.
So I didn't see much out of Canelo. Now,
him cutting off the ring, and people say, oh, you know, he couldn't cut off the ring, or he could cut off the ring. He was just too patient. Canelo cannot cut off the ring. That's why he struggled with Lara. That's why he struggled with Floyd, and that's bottom line. You know what I'm saying? So it was Canelo's career, in a way, was a great strategy to pick the opponents that they picked at the time, because his style was tailor-made for the type of guy Canelo is.
By pointing out Canelo's past struggles with fighters who box and move, Acosta suggested that the Mexican star's dominance may have been more about smart matchmaking than unmatched ability. And with Crawford now stepping up, a fighter who thrives on movement, timing, and adaptability, Acosta believes the red flags are impossible to ignore. Expanding on that analysis, Acosta shifted to what a potential fight with Crawford might actually look like. He didn't just question Canelo's ability to deal with a slick technician, he described exactly how bad it could get. However, he also cautioned that there's a difference between outboxing someone and getting the win on the scorecards.
I can totally see Crawford outboxing Canelo, like bad, making him look like taking him straight to school. But again, I do not see Crawford stopping Canelo. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see any of that. I do see Crawford taking him to 12 and winning. Here's the problem. Can he really win, though?
Acosta's closing line struck a deeper chord about boxing politics, raising the question of whether Crawford, even with a dominant performance, could actually get the decision against the sport's top cash cow. In his view, Crawford may have all the tools to win in the ring, but whether he can win on the scorecards is an entirely different fight. The backlash after Canelo's performance against William Skull has sparked an avalanche of criticism from boxing analysts and fans alike. Many are now openly questioning not just his current form, but also his legacy. Teddy Atlas went even harder. After reviewing the Skull fight, Atlas gave a brutally honest breakdown of what Canelo didn't do and why. According to Teddy, the version of Canelo we saw on fight night wasn't hungry, wasn't urgent, and didn't even try to win convincingly.
He either got old, he doesn't care no more, or, you know, and he's there's no fire, there's no urgency, or he's overrated. And I'm not saying he's that. I'm just saying that it didn't matter enough to go and do what he had to do.
Atlas didn't question Canelo's resume. He questioned his mentality. He suggested that the protective environment around him has erased the risk factor, which in turn erased the fire. And that makes a fight against a hungry technical wizard like Crawford dangerous in ways casual fans don't yet realize. Teddy didn't stop at the psychological aspect. He broke down everything Canelo should have done if he truly wanted to win. To him, this wasn't just a bad performance. It was a lack of effort, and he was fed up watching it unfold.
Move him into punches. Close the gap. Fight with intensity. Throw punches. That's a good one to start with right there. Just throw punches. How's that? How's that one? Forget about all the other ones. You can feint a little bit. Feint. Make a move. Make a premature move, and then track them down. Know where you have to go. But how about just throw some damn punches?
This wasn't a technical critique, it was desperation. Teddy Atlas, known for detailed fight analysis, was stunned at how basic the fixes were, yet how uninterested Canelo looked in even trying. Fans started drawing parallels with Mayweather versus Canelo, and many now believe Crawford might outclass him even worse. In one of his most powerful moments, Teddy explained why so many analysts and insiders are staying quiet about Canelo's recent fights. They're scared to mess up the big payday that Crawford versus Canelo brings.
You know, they want to keep their jobs, and obviously they don't want to knock the king. You know, they don't want to knock the guy that is part of the butter on their bread. You know, everybody wants Canelo to get to that Crawford fight. We understand that, and I want it too. We understand that, but at the same time, if you were not being controlled by not wanting to say some of the truths.
This opened the floodgates. The boxing community is now split. Protect the brand or tell the truth. Teddy, Acosta, and others are choosing the truth. And if this is the Canelo that steps in with Crawford, more and more insiders are starting to believe we might see a one-sided boxing lesson in Vegas. With legends like Oscar De La Hoya calling for redemption, trainers like Robert Garcia flipping their predictions, and analysts like Teddy Atlas sounding the alarm, Canelo versus Crawford isn't just a super fight, it's a litmus test for both legacies. Is Canelo still the king of boxing, or has time and complacency caught up to him? And can Crawford's brilliance, timing, and technique really overcome what no fighter has dared attempt, jumping 3 weight classes to dethrone the undisputed Mexican icon? Whether you believe skill beats size or that weight classes exist for a reason, one thing's certain: September 12th could be the night boxing history gets rewritten. So share your thoughts in the comments section about, can Terence Crawford pull off the impossible, or will Canelo Alvarez prove once again why he's the face of boxing?